Okay. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Monday, March 2nd Monroe Town Board meeting. If we could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Who's that here?
Okay, can we get a motion to open up the meeting for Monday, March 2nd?
I'll make that motion.
I will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McKinnon,
Okay, so moved. I'll make a motion to open up the continuation of the public hearing for proposed amendment of Chapter 57 of the Town Code. You need a second?
I will second.
Call the question.
Who seconded that?
Councilman Scancarello.
yeah.
Thank you.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McKinnon,
Okay, so moved. Anyone sign up to speak?
No one has signed up.
No one has signed up. Okay,
okay,
Councilman McGinn?
yeah, so the, our planner has submitted the DGIS finally for this, I don't mean finally like it took him a long time, it was a very involved, effort. But he has submitted to the town board the DGIS for the CCR. We have reviewed it, and I'd like to make a motion to accept the CCR, the DGIS for the CCR.
And to set a public hearing.
Yeah, and set a public hearing.
Well, we gotta do individually.
I know.
We gotta accept it as complete, right? That's your
Well,
first
we have
motion?
it as one resolution.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, the
Okay.
resolution that
Okay.
we sent
All
covers
right.
both.
So I'd
wanna
like to
Read that?
I'd like to accept the.
You wanna read the whereases?
Yes, I'll do the whole thing. Okay. Okay. Whereas the town board of the town of Monroe is considering the adoption of a proposed local law to amend chapter 57 of the town code to add article 11 entitled Special Planning Districts, and whereas the proposed law is an amendment to a use in the town zoning code affecting more than 25 acres and was thereby determined to be a type 1 action, and whereas the town board previously declared itself lead agency, so the sole agency with authority to adopt the proposed local law and issue a positive declaration on September 23rd, 2019, directing the preparation of draft generic environmental impact statement, DGIS, and whereas the town has received the DGIS prepared by the town planner and submitted to the town board on February 21st, 2020, and the town board has reviewed the same, and whereas the proposed notice of completion of the DGIS has been prepared and submitted to the town board, now therefore be it resolved that Section 1, all whereas clauses are hereby incorporated by references those set forth in full herein. The DGIS is hereby accepted by the town board as complete and sufficient in scope for public review and comment. Section 3, a public hearing on the DGIS is hereby scheduled on March 25th, 2020 at 7 p.m. at the Senior Center, 101 Mine Road, Monroe, New York, 10950. Section 4, a notice of completion of the DGIS shall be forwarded with any necessary accompanying documents to any and all appropriate entities as identified in the notice of completion, and a copy shall be filed with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Notice Bulletin. Section 5, the town clerk and any officers or employees of the town are authorized to effectuate the provisions of this resolution, including publishing and posting the March 25th public hearing set by the town board. Section 6, the resolution shall be effective immediately. And I think the only change in this is in the 1, 2, 3, 4 whereas. I believe it was February 27th was the date
For which the
for the, submitted it on the 27th.
I think the date, I'm going off the document that has it as when it first came to the town. The DGEIS is the 21st. But
Really? Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm just thinking when it finally went out to the board, you know?
yeah. That
Oh,
was
you're
the
saying
initial
after
submission.
corrections?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's fine, I just want to make sure we're good. Okay, so the question of the adoption of the foregoing resolution was duly put to a vote on the roll call with the results as follows. Mr. Supervisor?
Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scankarella, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved.
Was there a second? Who seconded?
Nobody.
Cologne the second.
There he is.
All right,
Do we have to vote again?
yeah, probably
Yeah.
we should. All right, so we have
Second by
first to accept this? Well, actually, I guess I'm the first to accept it.
Yeah.
Correct.
We have a second?
Cologne the
Cologne.
second.
Cologne a second?
Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scankarella, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved.
Okay, the resolution is therefore passed.
Okay. So a possible motion to keep open the continuation of public hearing for the proposed amendment of Chapter 57 of the Town Code, which essentially incorporates everything we just
Yeah,
did,
we're going to keep the local law hearing.
Yeah.
but we're going to keep it open.
That's
Correct.
Yeah. So I'll make that motion.
We continue. Do we state the date, time?
Next meeting.
March 16th, 7:05 PM.
Cologne the second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scankarella, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay, we need a motion to open the continuation of the public hearing for proposed changes to Article 14 of the Town of Monroe zoning local law.
I will make that motion.
I'll second it. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scankarella, aye.
McGinn, aye.
So moved. Anyone sign up to speak?
No one has signed up.
No one to sign up to speak. Okay, anybody have any comments?
No, I think, we're still waiting on something back from the county on this? Is that the,
We're waiting on something back from the county, and,
That has to go to state, right?
I don't know, Brian, does it have to go to the state council?
I think we were waiting for the county on this one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right, but afterwards it goes to the state, correct?
well, at the end it goes,
Yeah.
to-
Yeah.
yeah, once we
After
adopt it, yeah.
Adopted.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, but we don't have, we'll have to ask, have the planner check on that up there, you know,
yeah, okay.
so.
All right. That said, I'll make a motion to keep open the continuation of the public hearing for proposed changes to Article 14 of the Town of Monroe zoning local law
Okay, until,
Date and
until
time.
3/16 at 7:10.
okay, I'll second that motion.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scankarella, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay. Next up is a public hearing for Old Country Road Water District. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing regarding the continuation of the Old Country Road Water District.
I will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scankarella, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay. Anybody sign up to speak?
Michelle Dixler and David Dixler.
If I could just bring the board up to speed first, give you
Sure.
a status report.
How are you tonight?
Is this
What's that?
better?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay.
Howard, just state your name for the record so they have.
Yes, Howard Trotter. I'm here on behalf of the Village of Curious Joel. For the board's edification and for the public, the bacteriological testing and pressure test on the Old Country Road water main was successfully completed last week, and the construction of the main is complete. The village will be submitting documents to the Board of Health this week, and we expect to obtain authorization to activate the water main in the near future. The next steps will be to install service connections. We've been contacted by several property owners that have expressed interest in connecting. The village's position is we're going to immediately connect those that are without water, and that once the water district is finalized, we will connect all those others that wish to be connected.
Okay.
I have also received a revised version of the intermunicipal agreement, and that's still being reviewed by my client.
Okay.
there's any questions on that.
Nope.
Okay, thank you, Howard.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your diligence.
Michelle
Michelle
Dixler?
Dixler?
Hello again.
How are you?
Good
Nice
evening.
nice to see everyone.
Just state your name, please.
My name is Michelle Dixler. I live at 45 Old Country Road in Monroe. I have a few questions.
Before you begin, just so the board's aware,
Yeah.
last meeting, Mrs. Dixler asked us for a copy of the proposed agreement. I dropped one off to her on Friday afternoon, so.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, and I read it as thoroughly as I could. My husband took a look at it. Mr. Bickle took a look at it, so hopefully we all took a look. Okay, so the questions that came to mind, this is a few of them. On page 3, paragraph 10,
Go ahead.
I understand this to mean that water is to be provided at no cost for the hookups. And I think that the blue type clarifies this and definitely should be included. Also on page 3, paragraph 12, it says service connection fees shall be waived for single-family homes with an insufficient water supply. Well, I have two questions on that. One is, I have a legal two-family home. It is presently being used as a one-family home, but I've been probably paying taxes on it all the 40 years that we've lived there. And so my question is, do we get two hookups, or how does that work?
I'm going to defer to council. I would think that's something that would have to be negotiated.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a position from the village, you know.
Can you bring your
as-
microphone down, please, Brian?
As to a two-family, I don't know if there is any position from the village on waiver of the fees for two. It just wasn't discussed, to be honest with you, so I don't know if
Okay.
they're opposed or for it, but we can talk to the village and ask, you know, or see if we could change that language to existing single or two-family, you know, homes. I imagine there's no three families that we know of, but
I don't know of any three families. I mean, there is another two-family, but they are already connected. That's down in the cul-de-sac. They've been connected from the beginning.
okay.
So I don't know of other two-family homes.
Okay, so I can present that to Mr. Prater and his client to see if they can waive that fee for single and two-family homes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I thought this came up at a previous meeting.
Yes,
Mr.
I had
and- and
asked it,
Mr.
right.
Proctor, do you remember this coming up at a previous meeting and us discussing that, or?
I don't remember any.
A couple of months ago,
Yeah, it was a while back. I'm sorry, yeah.
about 3 months ago.
Forgive me, I don't remember any specific resolution.
Okay.
I think the concern that we had is that based upon the facts that were presented, it's not currently, it hasn't been used as a two-family.
Right.
And therefore, so it's going to have to be changed in more than one respect, you know, in order to be a two-family. They may have to increase the size of the sewer. There's a variety of issues that could present themselves in the future. So at that time, the village wasn't ready to say yes, that anybody who's an existing single-family can become a two-family and not have to pay a fee. But we'll take that
But
under advisement.
she's already a
This is already-
two-family.
She's
Yeah,
designated as a
two-family.
In
two-family in the
fact, I
tax.
think when Libby had the issue with his water, he moved in there for a week or two.
Who did?
No, I'm only kidding.
He's afraid of my dog. He's not moving in.
We'll take it under advisement. and
Okay.
discuss
Yeah,
it with council.
that is septic over there, so I don't think the sewer's an issue. I just thought I know it came up before, I just don't know if
Yes.
we had a resolution
Yes,
about
it
it.
did. I don't believe it was finally resolved, but we're getting so close to the end that we will definitely make an effort to resolve it.
Yeah, currently the
thank you.
agreement addresses conversion from a single to a two-family, but not what you're saying, which is an
Existing.
existing, so we
Right,
can
and
talk
I
about that.
already am connected to the sewer
Okay.
and pay sewer taxes, but I pay on the basis probably of a one family, I think, as
Okay.
far as the tax. My usage is one family. Okay, Let's see. All right. Now, I am in a situation where I currently have, for the two of us that live there, a sufficient water supply. So I wonder then, am I supposed to wait until I run out of water? It's always a possibility. My well, however, has been affected. I haven't gotten a report from WSP in over a year, but they do monitor my well every month, or at least they were doing it. And since the time they started pumping on the Brenner properties, my well level of the water has gone down 15 feet. So that is something. So I'm being impacted on it, and I would like to connect at some point. And I'm wondering, do we, the wording was a little ambiguous, that it said something about insufficient water, and then you had 9 months to do it. We'd like to connect. Will we be in the group of people that have been impacted and get the 48 months of water free?
Well, the 48 months is going to be there either way. It's just, in other words, if you connect in the future, that period will begin, at least the way it's written now, will begin when you hook up. But I know what you're saying. If you're sort of sufficient now and
I don't know how long it will stay, viable, the
Maybe-
water that we have.
Wasn't it priority?
Excuse me?
If you're out.
I believe the priority was given first to people who don't.
Oh,
In other words,
definitely,
priority.
definitely.
And then as they finish them, then everybody
Right.
else will
We
be connected.
want to be hooked up. We would like not to have to worry about it, but it would also be nice to, if we got some water along the way, because we have been impacted. So
I wonder if that impact actually affects the fact that you're a two-family, and maybe now you don't have sufficient water for two families.
That could be. Yeah, there would certainly be a larger water use. And my understanding with this is there's no minimum charge per month, that it's just a usage, how much
Correct.
water
That's
you
the way.
use.
That's the way it's written.
Just
That's-
like electricity or
Yeah.
something like that. Okay. So that would be of interest to me. The business with the pipe, with the well, I very much appreciate that we're not destroying the wells, and those of you with that input, thank you. But it does say removing part of a pipe. I'm assuming it's a water pipe
It's-
when they disconnect it
It's
or
the
something?
pipe that connects your well to your house. And it's actually done twofold. Mary has been working diligently
Oh,
on a cross-connection law, and it has to do with the fact that you don't want the water from your well intermingling with the
Right.
water from your
Right.
house from the village of KJ,
Of
which could
course.
cause contamination and issues to the village water.
Right, and I'd just like to chime in. Our cross-connection proposed law would not apply in this case because it's not a town of Monroe water source. You would be falling under the Village of Curious Joel's cross-connection supply law.
But it's still a matter of having that pipe disconnected. That's really what I was getting at.
Right, and then it gets I hire somebody, or is that included, or what? How does that work?
I mean, we didn't, I don't think we included that in the agreement. And in order to be fair, I'm saying, I would think since you have the well and you want to keep the well, I think that would most likely fall on you. I'm being honest.
Yeah,
you know.
okay, well, if whatever is decided, I'll have to go along with that. It's some kind of a valve or something that you get?
Listen, I'm not into the
We need a
particulars.
plumber.
Yeah.
I don't know the Village of Curious Joel's cross-connection law, but there are a couple of different ways of doing it. One is you just have a plumber come in and he will take the pipe and cut it, cap it off, and then your supply would not run through the house. It would just be used, like we said, possibly to water your garden, your lawn,
Right,
fill a pool. There are other kind of devices that can be installed, but as I said, I do not know what the Village of Curious Joel's law has.
And I have to deal with Curious Joel to get those things accomplished, or?
Well, they would tell you what you would need. As I said, I don't know their law.
I don't believe you'd have to deal with Curious Joel. or palm tree for that. I think you just have to get a plumber, come in, disconnect the line, and then you have to create, a line so that you have access to the well, but it's not connected to your home.
Right, so they kind of have to be done simultaneously, or at least you have to have the hookup to
Yeah.
the
You have to have the
house
hookup first, yeah.
first, right. Okay, let's see here.
Hold on, Mr. Potter, come on up.
Why don't you
Can you
speak
come
up to
to
the
the
mic, please, sir?
Sorry, my back hurts.
Thank you.
The other caveat that wasn't mentioned during that dialogue is Department of Health approval.
Right.
So they have to sign off.
It's in the contract,
It's in
though.
this, but I just want to make that clear, that if you wanted to have that backup supply, such as you've mentioned, you would have to get Department of Health approval to sign off on that.
So I would have
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
All right, thank you. All right, I just had a couple more things that had come up. Okay, when we were here last time, Mr. Shern, is that his
Shern.
name?
Shern.
Shern, right. Our highway superintendent mentioned something about flushing hydrants and lines and that kind of thing. So how often is that? Is that done once a year?
That's usually done once a year unless they find some kind of water disinfection byproduct. We do have a district now that is having more frequent flushings, but if everything falls within the state guidelines, they usually just do it once a year.
So who would do that? Does Curious Joel do that, or
Yes.
does
Yes.
our
Yes.
highway? Curious Joel does that.
Joel does that because that's their water
Yeah,
district.
their water department would handle that.
Okay. All right. There's mention of water could be turned off for an emergency of some sort. Let's say there's a water main break on the street or something like that. But for scheduled work when water is turned off, can we get like 48 hours notice if they know that something definite is being done there?
I will tell you this, I mean, we could ask that be put in there, but I know when we have an issue like that, the residents are given at least 24 hours.
Because there was an incident apparently in the last couple of weeks where they did shut off the water for the people that have the Curious Joel water. Excuse me. And there was no notice given whatsoever. So
Yeah.
people were without water and then with very dirty water. That's not good.
Michelle,
Yes.
usually we use constant contact when our highway department knows for our districts that they're going to be working on something. They will use constant contact, so you and your neighbors may want to register with the
I
town.
think I just registered a couple of weeks
Okay,
ago.
and
Yeah.
again, I don't know if the Village of Curious Joel has something similar, but you may want to ask them if they have something similar.
Just in addition to that, our highway department during a scheduled repair or maintenance, aside from the constant contact that we send out, our water department puts notices on every household.
Well, I hope that kind of thing is done. Who do we even talk to?
I will say, you're gonna have to talk to the Village of Curious Joel. Mr. Prada, would you have a problem if that was put in where the residents were given a 48-hour notice?
No problem whatsoever.
Okay. Settled.
All right.
Next
so,
item.
right, so we will
Thank
need,
you.
Thank you. Yeah, we will need a contact person, somebody to call in case
Yeah,
something happens.
we'll get that.
Okay.
That's on the water bills, at least with Town Monroe. Again, I don't know what the village has as far as that, but at some point when you're getting a bill, you should notice some kind of a contact number.
Okay, hopefully. Speaking of the bill, it was pointed out to me that October of every year has a lot of holidays and that they pretty much close down the administrative offices over in Curious Joel. All right?
I think there's 14 or 16 holidays.
A lot of holidays. And, but particularly in October. In this agreement, it says something about November 1st would be the time where they have to notify the town of Monroe so that any unpaid bills would go on to our tax bills. can that be moved up, like, to October 1st or something? Because there's no one there during
Well,
October.
the only thing is, I think they're worried about their billing cycle there. So if their billing cycle, doesn't coincide with that, they're trying to get it on the tax bill for the following year, January 1.
And that's
and
consistent with ours.
I was gonna say, that's consistent with what the town of Monroe does, because everything's gotta be into the county. I
Right.
wanna say the date's around the 7th or the 10th of December.
Right, but if there's no one doing it during October, that would be a problem.
I'm sure you'll get the bill.
Don't worry.
No,
you'll get
this
a-
would be a late,
Don't
this
worry,
would be
they'll take care
people
of it.
this would be people who you're levying a bill on to put on the
Well,
town tax.
Let's
when
put it to you
comes
this
out.
way.
You got a
If
couple
they
of-
don't levy it by November 1st, and they can't get it on the bill, that person won't be levied till next year, so it's a positive for you.
And they
Well,
also got a couple of years for water.
there's also talk here of a $125 fee.
That's for the town of Monroe,
For
if
the
we have
town
to
of Monroe,
collect.
and it says re-levy. Does that mean you have already billed it one year and now you're billing it again?
No, that means the town has to re-levy it on our taxes. So
Oh,
that water bill will get re-levied on the tax bills that the town sends out.
so in other words, you don't pay your bill, let's say, for a couple of months for whatever reason, and then you are automatically given a $125 penalty when it goes on the
Not
town one?
automatically, that's only if it's re-levied on the taxes. So if by chance you didn't pay your first 3 quarters of the year,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't pay that, and they've sent you notices, it's going to be re-levied on the following year's taxes.
Okay.
And the town will, place that charge on the tax bill.
It's like a carrying charge, basically, for having
Right,
to.
for-
And we
Extra.
have administrative costs associated
Right,
with that,
right.
too.
Okay. Who decides where they put the water line? Do they just show up one day and march through your yard and say that's where it goes? I mean,
It kind of
from the
depends where the
road.
hookup in your house is. They want to try to, I don't know, you said you have a well, so
have
I
a
don't know if it's
well.
in the front of your house
It's
or
in the
back.
front. It's in the
Okay.
front of the house. I'm assuming that it goes around the side of the house to come in. I really don't know. So I'm assuming
Kent,
whoever,
I think it's gonna be, for every house, it's gonna be
Slightly
different depending on
different,
where their
yeah.
access is, and I think that'll just have to be something that their contractor looks at and figures out the best way to run a line from the main to your home with the least amount of, trees and roots
well,
and all the
hopefully
other stuff
that's
that goes
what
along
they,
with it, so.
hopefully that's what they base their decision on. I mean,
Yeah, I
do
don't think they're
they-
gonna be looking to make it longer, I think they're gonna
Right. Mm-hmm.
look for the easiest path to lay that line in there.
Okay.
But I'm
And-
sure they'll be talking to you as they do it, it's not gonna be.
Well, I hope so. And the people who do this work, who hook up everything, they should be licensed, insured, and have workman's compensation. I mean, the people who did the line in the street were very pleasant. They answered your questions, and I think I'm not an expert, but
No,
they seem to be doing a good job. So that was good. All right. And, okay, that's pretty much it. Thank
All
you
right,
very
thank you
much
very
for
much.
your
Thank you.
time.
All right.
Appreciate your
and,
input.
We'll hopefully continue. Only one other thing. Mr. Trotter said that they will be putting it in soon, but are there any dates, when the people who have no water?
We still have to wait for the Department of Health to say okay.
Okay.
Okay. So once the Department of Health says okay, they'll begin that process.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Dixler, what I would do is I would begin the process of applying to the Department of Health for your well, though. This way, you're disconnecting and putting whatever you need to access water on the well while they're in the process of connecting you.
Is there a contact person over there?
It's online with the county.
Yeah, just go to the county website. When I get a chance, I'll try to look it up and email it to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
David Dixler?
Really
Delay, I just want to add one thing.
Just
Title-
state your name.
Oh, David Dixler, 45 Old Country Road, and we're talking about the line coming to our house. Actually, since we're a two-family house, we're entitled to 2 lines. Are we going to have 2 lines roughed out to the house? That's really my question. You know, we're entitled to it. One we would actually hook up at this point, but I'd like to have one sitting there ready to be hooked up if and when we sell the house or use it for some other purpose, rather than having to do it at some other time, since we're entitled to it. At this point, we're entitled to get it, and it won't cost us anything. So that's really my question. Can it be, will it be set up to the house point? You know,
You have to talk to, I guess, the construction people, but they'll.
But
make
if
it-
we're entitled-
They'll bring up a main line and then probably split it either way.
yeah, that's all right. If it's
Before
split right at the
construction
house, that's
people-
fine.
Before the construction people, it's got to be squared out with the village of
Yeah.
JJ. Let's-
Yeah, because we don't want any extra expense, but we don't need it now.
Right.
And we may not need it, but when I sell my house or rent it or something,
Yeah.
I would want it. That's all.
All right, Mr. Proud is trying to get his steps in today, so he's gonna speak again.
If you step to the side, sir, you can answer.
Yeah, he's right behind you.
If your house is a two-family house,
Yes, it is.
To the mic, sir.
if the house is a two-family house,
We've been paying taxes for 40
okay,
years.
then it must already have a separate water system for 2 units.
We have our own well.
Oh, no, I know, but there's
Inside
gotta
the
be,
house.
it's gotta be split inside for 2,
It never was.
it never was. Okay, so it's,
never was.
the plumbing in the house is set up for one family. Okay?
It was two-family, but from my understanding, they had rented the second, for the second family. It was one family owned and the other rent, at least from the people we got the house from.
So
I don't know
let
how
me,
they worked out the
So
bill.
let me ask you a question. If in the future, okay, you decide to rent it out,
Right,
and you have a history of what your water bill has been
right.
for the last 15 years, 20 years, and you rent it out to those people and you show them that this has been your history, if you have one access line into the home, then you would be able to figure out what the tenant is going to be using based on your past history.
That's all very nice if you have good tenants, but I'd rather.
Okay,
Not
but
every
there-
tenant, you know.
there's only
I had
one
a
of-
sister who for years would run the water because she could. You know, she would run the water for 10 minutes till it got very hot, and then she would use it, and then she'd leave it on for a while.
Okay.
Right, but if
You
it's
know,
in,
we
if
were
it's
living
in,
New York City, and it didn't seem like our water.
You-
But that's not the right way to
You,
do
you
things.
have an alternative, sir.
You know?
You have an alternative.
Okay.
Then you would call in a plumber, and you would have them repipe the house for that second unit.
Yeah, that's.
And that would be your
itself
expense.
a problem.
But that's your expense, nobody else's.
All right, but I'm more concerned with the line coming toward the house.
The line is a different story, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I mean, because you would have that stated in your lease. You know, the cost, the additional cost of water based on your past history would be the burden of the tenant.
Okay, but then
Because
you're
otherwise
saying.
you'd be talking about doing a separate meter and
All right, but in
all that.
terms of
Which is a
amount of
whole-
water we're entitled to enough water, even for that one line, for two families. That's what I'm saying. According to my understanding, since we're a two-family house, we should be entitled, without talking anything further, if I have that one big line, I should be able to get twice the volume of water.
That you have to talk to the construction
No,
people.
I mean, that's what it,
But
either
you,
it
we
is or
don't, we
isn't.
don't,
Yeah,
we're not
but-
doing, you want us to settle that now, we can't settle that.
But what you gotta understand is that the family is a two-family house,
Right.
but you don't have two families in there. So how can I, in my right mind, say, yeah, you know what, you're entitled to 40,000 gallons a quarter? I couldn't say that. I
I'm paying
don't,
taxes.
I don't
as a
believe that's
two-family
right.
house.
Well, listen, I think.
Yeah, but the taxes are not relative to the water. The taxes are separate.
I mean, what issue here is there isn't a cap on how many gallons of water you can receive a quarter.
Yeah, there is.
There is?
Yeah, it's 20,000.
There's a number they gave.
It's 20,000 for the free water
Right.
in the agreement.
All right, but that's per family, it says.
You have to
Yeah,
go back,
So if I got if there's a two-family house, I should have double that number is what I'm saying.
what would happen, sir, is that they would put a second meter, but you would have to, from what you're saying,
Yeah.
you would have to have the house, a professional plumber come in and separate the units for the second part of the house that would be deemed as second, and that would be on you. That price,
That part's not a problem. It's just
Well, then
the water
I-
coming into the house, we shouldn't have to pay extra because there's a second family.
because then you would be separating it from the other section of the house.
Okay,
Well,
but
wait.
that's fine.
And then that would have a separate meter. That's the only way you're gonna do it.
I'm
The-
not worried about that.
Can I
Okay,
just
then.
I
interject
don't want to
here?
be charged for,
In number
Twice.
11, it says, "The user shall not be charged for any water usage up to," so you are saying you are one user and your renter would be another user. So that would be two users.
Do
It's
you-
a two-family house,
right.
right? So the way that this is worded, it says, if connected to the district, the user shall not be charged for any water usage up to 20,000 gallons per year. So one user would be you.
Right.
And one user would be your
That's what I'm-
tenant. That's what you're concerned
That's what
with.
I'm looking for.
Okay, so that's a
Yeah,
legal
no.
question.
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with
Right.
that.
Right.
I'm just disagreeing with the fact that right now, you're one family in there. I
Right.
can't see you being entitled to 40,000 gallons
As one family.
But
as one family.
if tomorrow my grandson wants to move into my house and a separate apartment, I am then
Then at
entitled.
that point, you're gonna
You'd
get a
be two
separate
users.
meter and
Yeah.
have a
Yeah,
sep, yeah, yeah.
It'd be two
You're gonna-
users.
Yeah.
Then it'd
Right,
be
it
two,
would be
then
two
you would have
units
to
at
have
that
it
point.
separated and have a separate meter put on.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's happening, but I mean,
Yeah, no,
I have a
We
big
gotta think about the
family.
No.
future.
then that, yeah.
Thankfully,
Then
they're
that,
sitting in Baltimore, they should only stay and live and be well.
Right.
Okay,
Baltimore, God
thank
bless
you
them.
very much.
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Supervisor, I have two more that would like to speak.
Sure.
Libby Bickle.
Hi to everyone. Hi to everyone. My name is Libby Bickle from 34 Old Country Road. Thank you so much for delivering the project. I'm sure it's not easy. Thank you so much for that. Number one, I have a few questions. Number one, who's gonna service the pipeline, KJ Village, correct?
Yes.
Because I know one of the excuses why I have dairy water in my tanker was that the water is coming from KJ Hydrogen in KJ. Now the water coming from Goshen, I believe. So we can have the same quality of water in KJ, like black water?
I don't believe so. I think that came from a specific well or hydrant in KJ.
Okay, no problem. My other question is emergencies. What is mean emergency? Like if I have now an emergency, who can I call? The village?
You're gonna have to call the village.
Like if I have now an emergency, can I try now to call the village to see how the response gonna be? Because I know their response.
Well, then if you know the response, why are you gonna call them?
So what shall I do? Because they say they're gonna respond to emergencies. Response to emergencies. How?
I can't answer that. You're gonna have to talk to them. I don't think anybody here can answer that.
What
So-
emergency?
What emergency?
out of water.
If there's a
They
pipe
have
that
a
breaks.
busted pipe
Yeah.
on the outside or the inside, and they gotta have their access there to work on the main on anything.
Yeah, you're gonna have to ask them, Mr. Bickle. I don't have any answers for that. I wish I did, but it's not our district.
Okay. Last Monday, the village disconnect the new line, the new pipeline on Old Country to the existing line on Ivy Lane. The contractor told me this construction was scheduled for 2 weeks. No one did got notified about this. And my brother-in-law on 46, he was in the middle of the shower. They just shut off the water for I believe 2 hours. And also the school did not have water in this period. Did not notify anyone about this. And after this, they didn't flush it. It was black. The water was very dirty for a long time. Not only in Ivy Lane, also in KJ.
Okay, so what I would do is I would call the Department of Health and express your complaint to them.
If this is gonna happen here, have you should contact the town or the Department of Health?
No, you're gonna have to call the Department of Health.
How long did it take from my house to be hooked up? Since
That's not, Mr.
The
Bickle,
village.
listen.
yes,
You're becoming a little adversarial, and I know you have issues with the village and KJ. So I think those remarks have to be directed at them, not at this town board. This town board has gone above and beyond to make this happen. So
Okay,
I
I
don't feel
appreciate
your
that.
questions or should be directed at us so far.
Okay.
I mean, seriously, I mean, they have bargained in good faith. They've done it. They've done everything they've said they've done. Mr. Potter has been responsive with our attorney to get this done. So, have a little, if there's problems down the road, you're still town residents, and you can still contact us, and we can, liaison with the government over there. But we're not, There's a lot of suppositions you're making here that we just don't know.
100%. What's happened with the building with O&R, that the usage now in my house,
Say the question again?
they're still using the heaters like last year, the electric usage?
Oh, to keep the line from freezing? Is
Yes.
that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Mr. Potter, can you come up here for a sec?
He's getting his steps in, that's for sure.
You look like you got a bum back, do you? Yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
So-
I appreciate the ability to stand up. It's
Yeah. So the question is, Mr. Bickle has not been paid for his electric bill this year, which was to heat the pipes that
I'll look into
got the
that.
water. Can you look into that and get that rectified, please?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Also,
Did you send the bill to the village?
I do whatever you tell me to do. I know they didn't communicate with me. They
Have
just,
you asked the village to pay the bill, or?
the way how Maxotel did communicate with me was not, I tried to be very cooperative, and I'm not
Do you
here
have a
to,
bill that you want me to give to them to have it paid?
whatever, I can do whatever you're gonna tell me to do, I'm
Or
gonna
why
follow.
don't you send me the bill, you know where to reach me, right?
Okay.
Send me the bill, and I'll get it paid for you.
No problem. And also the damage to the house from last year from the heating, the siding got melted, new siding from the heating, they got melted.
Send him the bill.
Supervisor, I don't want to cut this off, but this is a public hearing about the
Yeah.
water district, not
Yes,
about
it's not about a
personal
specific
issues.
home.
Grievances, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. no
Thank
problem.
you. All right, Mr. Bickle, 30 more seconds, please.
No problem, no problem. I think everything is very good. I'm very happy that things are getting done, and I appreciate the work.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bickle.
Thank you so much.
Next speaker?
David Bickle. Jacob, sorry.
Good evening, Jacob Bickle.
Good evening, sir.
I really want to thank you. I give a very positive note for the town, for everybody, for the hard work you did to get till here. And also I want to thank the people who are watching us from our community, from the village, or from, you did the effort to bring in and pay the money. Thank you so much. I know you're watching, so I want to thank you. And
Do you have any comments about the district itself?
yes. I want to ask, I have a neighbor, one of my tenants here in 38 called Country Road. His water is losing water level many times. I didn't make any noise about it because I know the water is coming. And my understanding is that there is such a way for charging. He asked me to come up and talk for him. If there is a possibility to waive the charge for the water since his water level.
I don't know what tests he's done. I don't know what he's
No,
had.
from the recourse is always low, and he's always losing water.
What do you mean? What do you mean losing water?
It was.
He has a well?
He was the well, yeah.
Okay, so he has a well.
Yeah, but he's always short in water.
Okay.
Well,
so-
what do you
and-
mean? Well, you got to be specific. What do you mean
Meaning to
short?
say, because his water level was always behind, if he can get like the wave for a couple of years, not to have to pay for the water. I'm asking. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if it's going to be a new hookup to
Yes.
so there's no charge for the hookup.
Anyway,
right?
yeah.
And there's,
Well, there's there's
Whatever.
clauses in the contract pertaining to who can and who doesn't get.
are rental properties prohibited?
He's got a rental property?
He's
No,
my
it's
tenant.
his house.
Oh, it's your
He's
tenant.
renting there.
Mr. Philander is my tenant. He always have problems with water.
So
I would
does he-
say,
talk about
listen, I would say this is an issue that's not part of this public hearing.
Okay.
This
Yeah.
this is something that you'll have
Okay.
to send in writing to the supervisor's office.
problem.
We'll have the attorneys look into it, and we'll take it
No
from there.
problem. I want to finish up, and I want to, the houses they have there, I have a few houses, which is, you guys know, it's under my name. I want to know, how does the process going? If I want to be, it's going to be automatically connected, all the houses? I want to connect them all, so
All other houses on that.
automatically, right? I don't have to
No,
Application, it's gonna be application?
Not automatically, you're gonna have
What's
to.
the red
yeah.
tape?
Excuse me?
It's gonna be automatically?
No.
Or I have to ask the town or the KJ?
Oh, you have to ask KJ.
How will it work?
You're gonna have to ask KJ.
It's gonna be a form kind of thing to ask, it's gonna be,
You're gonna have to ask them.
okay. Thank you so much again, Mr. Supervisor and all the town board, thank you so much for everything.
You're welcome.
And it's exciting to see that the water is here already.
Good.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anyone else?
That is all.
That was all? Okay, anybody else have to comment? I'd like to make a motion to keep open the public hearing for the continuation of Old Country Road for March 16th at 7:15. 15.
Cologne, a second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay, next item, 3.8, public hearing for the petition to amend the zoning ordinance by Monroe Nininger LLC. I'll make that motion, open that public hearing.
I'll second it.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, anyone sign up to speak?
Supervisor, before we go to
You're
the,
getting your steps in too today, huh?
before we go to the public comments, I just want to state that, for the purposes of SECRA, there is a pending application in the planning board that is contingent upon this petition for a zoning amendment being approved by the town board. So for the purposes of environmental review, we're viewing it as one whole action, that planning board application and this review. So we're recommending, since the planning board is going to be doing the full SECRA review as a type 1 action, that the town board allow the planning board to handle the SECRA and then report back to the town board. You still will have the final approval on whether or not the petition is approved for this amendment. And basically this amendment is to increase the height in the HI district from 40 to 50 feet. My understanding is prior to the comprehensive plan and the zoning amendments, this HI zone did have a 50-foot height, which for commercial buildings made sense, to have 4 floor, 3 stories, whatever they wanted to build. In this case, I think it's 4, which was allowed. So that's kind of the procedural posture. The town board always has the discretion whether or not to approve a petition for a zoning amendment. But I did speak with council and the planning board, Ms. Torrey, and we're in agreement that the planning board will handle SECRA, and we will continue this hearing, obviously, until that process is complete.
Okay.
So just so I'm clear, Mr. Nugent, so they could, secret could go on for quite a while.
Yes.
And while we're acting on this petition, there's also other, it's not just about this one project.
That's correct.
And I think I would like to, I think there's got to be a way that we're kind of moving concurrently with this to try to get it done, because it's not just about this project. It's something we've been talking about for a while, and I just don't want to get us held up with the planning board process and have other projects that are coming down the pike possibly held up by it. That's my concern.
The only thing I see an issue with that, and I agree with you, but the issue is that the applicant that put this petition before us is the one who is in the process with the planning board. So correct me if I'm wrong, counsel, if it was a different applicant that put this forward, we wouldn't be in this position, correct?
Actually, we probably wouldn't be, but when you look at SECRA applications, and if there's, components of a plan, we don't look at everything, in fact, that would be what they call segmentation if we were to separate the review. And you're right, since this applicant put in an application and basically, look, the applicant could have put in for a variance and went to the zoning board, which would only apply to that specific property, the height, variance from the height requirement. In this case, they're doing what they call a petition for a zoning text amendment to increase the height throughout the HI district. So after and if this is approved, every applicant that comes in has that 50-foot height availability. But under the circumstances and how it's been presented, I agree, we can't separate them, and this has to be reviewed. I did speak to the applicant's attorney, Mr. Myro. He understands that. So yeah, it will take some time to do that review because of the project, but I don't think it'll necessarily hold anyone up, because anyone else that comes in with a similar application is going to have to likely go through a type 1 secret process anyway, so their project can't move forward until that's complete. And then as soon as that's done, the town board can move forward on the petition for the text amendment. So I don't think anyone will get delayed is my point, because they're going to have to take that long if they have a project application anyway to get reviewed in the planning board. So us approving this, even if we approved it tonight, doesn't give them any benefit because they can't build until they go through the planning board and get that project approved.
Planning board hasn't approved it yet then?
They haven't, they're just beginning seeker right now on
Oh, okay.
that application, so it will be a while.
So we're tabling it at this point?
No.
No.
Yeah, it's just, this is a large project, and I know, my concern is that this, this is gonna drag on for a while. And I think it's also something we wanted to look at in the LI as well, you know what I mean? So,
I thought the LI was already,
no, I don't believe so. I don't think, I think
No.
that's still at 40 also. I think, let's discuss this in executive session, if that's all right with you.
We allowed to discuss?
Well, it
in
depends on
executive
what
session?
you want to discuss. If
Well,
in
it's-
terms
it's
of,
just-
the applications, I'm just saying, I don't think you're slowing anybody down, because they have to wait that long anyway. Unless you were to say, if you have no intention as a board, putting aside secret, you have to look at that first. But assuming there's no significant environmental impact that would make you think differently, if you had no intent to change the zone and you were, steadfast against it, then it wouldn't make any sense to proceed. But if you are, and it is something you're going to consider because it used to be 50 feet anyway, then, I don't think any harm is done unless there's some particular, issue that you're aware of, because this applicant can't do anything. If you, like I said, if you told them tonight 50 feet is fine, they can't build anything because they still have to go through the entire planning board process.
Right.
And it's going to take the same amount of time. You can adopt your petition and approve it probably before they get their planning board approval, because again, they're going to probably have conditions. Once you have the secra and the outcome of that, you can move forward on this, which will still be before they probably move forward with construction on any application. But I mean, if there's a specific issue, you and I can discuss, if there's something else that you want to relay. And again, if it's a legal issue, yes, we can discuss an executive session.
Anything else?
Yeah, do you have speakers or?
So where are we
No one
going?
signed up.
No, nobody signed up.
Nobody sign up? Okay, so I'll make a motion to keep open the public hearing regarding the petition to amend zoning ordinance Monroe Ninninger LLC. Let's do that on April 6th.
So we would just have this remain open until the planning board is finally done with this project then? Is that,
Until they're done with secra.
until they're done with secret?
Yeah, and then we're going to ask, they usually would report back to us on their recommendation, not that you're bound by that, because they have the approval over the application for the site plan and the project. You still retain the jurisdiction on approving the text amendment, but you can't really do that until secret is complete. So we have
Mr.
to wait for that.
Mr. Nugent, would it be appropriate if the supervisor could just poll this board to see if we were inclined to go to the 50 feet, or is that something we not vote on tonight?
Well, with the qualification, I mean, there's not anything legally that prohibits the board from saying, hey, how do you feel about this, as a discussion, with the caveat that you can't really make that determination until you see the
Right.
results of secret, because if they come back and say there are significant environmental impacts, obviously that would change what you say tonight.
Right, but if the planning board would be looking to the town board for some guidance, at least by polling us, they would at least have some indication that, yes, we understand 50 feet is a more realistic height, and that would give input to the planning board to say, okay, once secret is done, then the town board is more likely to...
I think a simpler way to do that is just say, assuming there are no significant environmental impacts with this request to amend the zoning, is there any town board member that remains opposed in any event to a 10-foot increase in height in the HI zone?
So I'd like to
It's
make
like
that
a reverse
motion.
poll. Well, I wouldn't even do it as a motion,
No,
but
yeah, I
I
wouldn't do
mean,
it, yeah.
we can indicate
as a
that there was a
poll.
discussion and there's no board members that or opposed
How
under
about-
any circumstance.
How about this? I have not heard any objection from any board members during conversations.
I think we're all in agreement that this
Yeah.
is a good thing. It's, from an economic development standpoint, we need, if we're gonna attract, certain types of businesses here to the town, we need that height increase. And my concern, if I seem like I'm aggravated, is I just don't want them being held up because of one project, secret, which may not have anything to do with secret being done for one of these other projects. That's my concern. So,
No,
because I know
understood.
the planning board is, it's a big project, and they don't,
They're doing their due diligence.
they're doing their
right.
due diligence, and we understand that, but it's just.
Yeah, and I'll say this, in fairness, if somebody came in that was ready to move forward faster and for some reason didn't require, let's say, a type 1, secret with a environmental impact statement, their fastest course would probably just be go to the zoning board and ask for a variance on that parcel. They'd probably be done quicker. But, we can address that if it comes up.
Okay.
Are you still angry?
No, I just, it's,
All right, so the motion was made to keep open the public hearing regarding the petition to amend the zoning ordinance by Monroe Nininger LLC for April 6th at 7 PM.
I'll second that motion.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarella, aye.
Again, I,
Okay, so moved. Okay, listen, before I get into the order of the claims, I just want everyone to know that I've been in touch with the Orange County Department of Health, just trying to get ahead of the coronavirus, situation right now. There's no vaccine right now. There's the anticipation for a vaccine is not to come out prior to June. We have taken steps to get ahead of it. We have ordered additional sanitary dispensers.
hand
which-
sanitizer, yep.
Yeah, hand sanitizer, which is right when you walk in here. And that's here every winter. There have been other viruses, H1N1 and
SARS.
SARS. SARS.
And MERS.
Yeah, and we've gotten through that. The Department of Health at the county has basically recommended that, you cover yourself when you cough, you wash your hands as frequently as you can, do not touch your eyes, nose, or mouth with unwashed hands, avoid close contact with people who are sick. If you're sick, they ask you to stay home, and to clean and disinfect all frequently touched objects, surfaces, door handles, doorknobs, etc. So we're just trying to get ahead of it, and we're being a little proactive, and that's where we are at with it. As far as the next item, which is the general fund abstract, we have abstract number 20-11. Total claims was for $4,761,927.93. And this was for checks that cleared, that have been cut, which would be the last set of checks cut for the 2019 invoices and tax year.
You need a proposal or a second?
So we need, someone want to make a motion?
I'll make that motion. Cologne make the motion.
I'll second.
Erase it.
Oh, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarella, aye.
Again, I,
Okay, so move. So while we're on that, just so everybody gets and I'm sorry I didn't hand this to you prior to, but, so these are budgetary transfers that have to be made to smooth the budget out as per the state, so that, give one to Brian or Val.
Wow.
So that everything becomes in balance. Now, don't be afraid of the total number that's there. That's essentially, it's 1.345 million 812 $821.03. And that's just basically smoothing out the negatives and the positives. And I would like to get an approval on this. And prior to getting an approval on it, I will tell you this. So in all the funds that the town has, in the A fund this year, we had a surplus of $335,234.74. In the B fund, which is the general fund part town, we were negative $32,326.97. I will tell you that all of that and more was due to the All Mine situation, legal fees and other expenses associated with that. The DA Highway Fund town-wide, we had a surplus of $172,074.23. And the DB Highway Fund part-town, we had a surplus of $62,784.79, which essentially translated to a total of $537,766.79, which was not spent in our budget this year and essentially becomes a surplus and goes back into the general fund. So what I'd like to do is have those budgetary transfers for all the funds that are listed on the top page, which total $1,345,821.03. I would like to make a motion to approve those transfers, which are described in detail in the big packet you have, so that we can smooth the budget out.
I'd
I
like to
just don't have
second
that top.
discussion.
I don't have that top page.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't either.
See? Okay.
Yeah, I don't have the top page either.
Go ahead, second for discussion?
Yeah, so I know I probably don't need to ask this, but apparently this has been reviewed by the accountants?
This has been approved by the accountants. This is the way it's, traditionally done.
Okay.
And this is best practices.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to, get that, on the record for the folks at home as
Sure,
well as
yeah.
everyone else, just so they know that,
This is just moving money from one account to
Yep.
another. It's all in the budget.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
And it's
to-
just moving it to smooth out the budget.
Right, so the negatives become flat and
Right.
Gotcha.
whatever,
All right, no problem. Just want to get that out there.
The end of the year, though, it's a positive of
Oh, yeah.
40,000, so
Absolutely.
great job.
And I thought we were only going to be at about 400,000 surplus, so I was shocked today when that number came in. So
Good job.
What was the surplus number?
537.
537,000
and change.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Good work there, Mr. Supervisor.
Well, listen, it's our work, it's everything we do, and it's the department heads who really, really took became stakeholders in what we were doing. So,
All right.
so you have that motion. It was seconded by Councilman McGinn.
Again.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. Okay. Acceptance of the February 10th, 2020 meeting minutes.
I'll make that. Cologne will make the motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion, changes, alterations, revisions?
I had given a change to Valerie, and that's...
Which one?
That's for the 10th
Oh,
or
no,
the 25th?
no,
That was
25th.
25th, yeah, so
Right.
we're on the 10th. Call the question then?
Abstain, I was absent.
Okay.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved. 5.2, acceptance of the February 25th, 2020 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to accept?
I'll make that motion,
Cologne the second. You wanted to discuss?
and this is the one that I had given Valerie a correction.
Okay. You see any corrections in there, Rick?
No.
Okay. All right, so can we make those corrections that Mary submitted?
It's been done.
All right, so moved. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Can I just ask who seconded that?
Cologne.
Cologne.
Thank you.
Okay. So item 6.1, proposed addition of Article 8 to Chapter 53 of the Town Code of Monroe, Cross Connection Law. I will turn it over to Councilwoman Bingham, who has been working diligently hard with our engineers to get this, and our attorney to get
And
this.
attorney, yes.
Yeah, to get this taken care of.
Okay, we are very, very close. It's gone to the Board of Health twice. The one section we still have to determine is Section 53-36, residential dual check assembly. I'm just going to read it, it's only 4 lines. Upon the effective date of this chapter, all new residential buildings shall install a residential dual check assembly intermittently downstream of the water meter. Installation of this residential dual check assembly on the retrofit basis on existing service lines may be instituted at a time as deemed necessary by the town, and the potential cost of the, potential cost shall be borne by the homeowner. This comment actually came up from the Orange County Board of Health. This can be very, very expensive to the residents because they're going to need to get an engineer. It has to go to the Board of Health, and they need all kinds of approvals. And we had a little letter sent by our town engineer, was an email, and he even says the costs to the homeowners could be significant. And continuing, as I understand, the homeowner would be required to obtain the Orange County Department of Health approval for the backflow preventer. This will require engineering plans for the backflow preventer and added time for Orange County Department of Health review. Requiring retrofits for existing homes could consume a significant amount of town resources to ensure compliance. And the only pro he had was the town's water systems will be protected from the potential cross-connections, no matter the degree of hazard. Now, the way this cross-connection law was written, there are very specific parameters. So if something is considered hazardous, like a cannery or a brewery that produces waste, not that we have it here, but a shipyard or a marina, greenhouses, boiler systems, cooling towers. There are very specific things that if the building inspector saw them, we could still have it instituted as a check. But right now, it seems that the way that one section is written, it would cost our homeowners a lot of money to be in compliance. So he had suggested to our attorney just to have a different phrase in there, basically saying that if the potential source of contamination was high, that the town would still have the right to put this the backflow prevention device in. But the way it's worded here, he just thinks it's a little too costly to the residents.
Costly being, any idea what being costly?
Could be thousands and thousands of dollars.
Nice.
Per household.
Per household.
Yeah,
Wow.
Excellent.
yeah.
Another tax.
Yeah, so as I said, there are other ways to achieve this residential dual check assembly without having this very costly way as written in this chapter, proposed law. So,
Could it be done by water district instead of each individual home?
actually, the way this cross-contamination law applies, it would only apply to districts that have their own well, because some of our town districts get their water from the village of Monroe, and it would not apply to them. So this would apply to Water District 2, Water District 12, and Water District 14. All the other water districts are not bound by this law because they get their water from the village of Monroe, and they would be under the scrutiny of the village of Monroe's laws regarding cross-contamination.
We have also the
bless you.
village of Harlem.
Bless you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And that's unique because that's not really a district that we have set up.
God.
Thanks.
I'd like to make a motion that we have our attorney redo the law one more time and change the section 53-36 regarding the residential dual check assembly to make it more in line with what the engineer had said earlier, that it would be, I don't know if I have the exact wording. Mr. Nugent, do you have that earlier email?
Not in front of
No,
me,
not
but
in front of you? I
just
might-
so I can ask the board, so right now, the language requires that dual check assembly on new residential construction. And then the retrofit provision says, on existing service lines may be instituted at a time as deemed necessary by the town, and the potential cost shall be borne by the homeowner. So I just want you to be clear, as it's written, it would apply only to new construction. The retrofit is only if the town determines that somebody, should have that device put on. So I just want to clarify what we're changing, in other words, or what you want to say with respect to that, or do you not want it as part of new construction at all?
Okay, I found his email from Sean. He says, "Our office believes that the requirement of cross-connection should not be a requirement for every residential service, instead only required based on the degree of hazard as described in the proposed local law." So what he's saying is, even the new residences, only based on the degree of hazard that's available. That it, I guess if somebody had a new residence that was also a hair salon, they could possibly cross-contaminate. So because of the way that property is being used, then the building inspector would say, yes, you need this dual check valve assembly.
All right, so then the change would be basically not to distinguish new and existing, but just basically make it a degree of hazard standard
Yes,
across the board.
yes.
So if the board's good with that, we can revise that.
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, thank you. So I'll just ask the attorney to revise it. And then, would we then be able to, at our next town board meeting, start holding a public hearing on it?
I mean, you could set one now, you're kind of discussing it anyway, so, you really could set the public hearing and then present this next version as the document for the public to review.
Okay. Supervisor, would you like it in April, since we do have several?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to start it in April, on April 6th at 7:05.
Okay. So I'll make the motion that we set a public hearing for April 6th, was it?
Yes. Go on a second.
At 7:05.
Seconded by Councilman Cologne.
Yes.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarella, aye.
Can I,
Okay.
We had no second again on the motion.
No, Cologne did.
No, the first to have council redo the,
Oh, well, actually, I don't know if we need a motion
No,
for
we
that.
don't need a motion for
Yeah,
that.
I
yeah.
can do that.
Thank you, Vilval. Okay, item 6.2, proposed changes to Chapter 57, Article 16, Administration and Enforcement.
so, I'd like to table that until the 16th, just so we can look that over a little bit more.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarella, aye.
Again, I
Okay. Item 6.3, to Smith Farm Water District IMA. Council, you have been working hard at this, and you feel that we're at a point where it's complete?
Yeah, we've been back and forth a couple of times with council for the village, so I think now it's in a form based on our prior discussions that the town would be satisfied with.
Okay.
Second for discussion.
Well, somebody's got to make a motion for the supervisor to sign it.
Well, I want to discuss.
I know that, but somebody's got to make a motion for that
Oh,
first.
okay.
Yeah,
So,
I'll make the motion.
Cologne, a second.
for discussion. Go ahead.
For discussion.
Go ahead, Councilwoman
okay,
Bingham.
so I had a couple of questions on it. Do we have a map? Because one of the things, it says the boundaries of the Smith Farm Water District. Is there a map with specific section lots and block numbers associated with this?
I would assume, Council.
That's
it's
probably
the-
part of the maps, plans, and reports for the
Okay.
district itself that was already done previously.
Okay. And I guess on page 3, it says a village water meter shall be installed for each
What
dwelling.
number? Oh, 5?
Number 5, yes, sorry, page 3, number 5. Is there going to be one master meter going into this area?
The problem, they have a master meter, but the problem is it's a loop. It doesn't come to an end. So the loop goes from the village into the town, and then it loops around.
So there's essentially water in the line that at times will not be accounted for based
It'll
on-
be sometimes in the village and sometimes, okay,
But each home obviously has an individual meter.
right. Page 4, the new number 7, what is the current rate? Are they going to be charged $11.88 per thousand?
That's 1088.
1088, okay. Just so I have a better idea. Number 8, the agreement shall be renewed automatically, shall be automatically renewed annually. Do IMAs, this is a legal question, do IMAs have to be renewed every 5 years?
Do they have to?
Right.
No.
No, okay.
I mean, you can continue it annually. Usually they're no more than 5 years, but.
No more than
yeah.
5 years, okay. And those were my questions, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on it? So call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Colon, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay, item 6.4, Highway Superintendent Cherney could not be here tonight. The fire department's getting new radios, and he had to do some training on it as the chief. So he would like the approval for the Highway Department, who requests to move current Town of Monroe Highway Department motor equipment operator Kirk Villacres to the position of heavy equipment operator at a rate of 31.32 per hour. Kirk has been pre-approved by the Orange County Department of Human Resources. He was approved last week for that.
Do we have a spot in the budget for that?
Excuse me?
Do we have a spot in his budget for that, I guess?
Well, let's put it to you this way. When you say a spot in the budget,
In other
is
words,
there money in the budget for it?
not only that, but do we have to have so many, or it just
No,
only is they're approved?
it's essentially
I'm just trying to
a
understand.
union contract.
Okay,
issue.
right.
Yeah. Yep. So,
And he has money budgeted?
there's,
I
I
guess
mean,
so.
there's a little
Okay.
money extra in there,
All
but
right.
doesn't mean he still can't go over with overtime.
Kirk's been with us a while, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think about 2 years.
Okay.
yeah, he's working out well.
Yeah, good kid, very
I
good
agree.
kid. All right, so I'll make that motion to
Call-
approve that.
Colon, a second.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Colon, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay. Item 6.5, just, we need to officially pass a resolution to use the town hall as an election polling location for early voting, presidential primary elections, and general elections.
I'll second that motion.
For
Okay,
discussion.
go ahead.
Last year, we had concerns, some of residents, as far as being accessible to people with disabilities. Now that we're making the renovations, will the town hall meet all compliances with the ADA?
The town hall, right now, we received the rails today. Everything will be ADA compliant. It has been one of the top priorities that not only the construction company and our engineers and myself have had, but we did it and essentially had to shift the grant money we received for ADA to the doors that would be installed in the operational, the automatic operational doors. So yes, it's ADA compliant, more than you could imagine, and it's,
And it
yeah.
cost.
Yeah, and it cost, so.
Any other?
Well, that's the concern of the residents, so I'm just bringing it up.
It's also the concern of myself and this board, so. Do we have a second, right?
Yes.
Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Colon, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay. Item 6.6, so I was at Connect One Bank. We're currently getting a rate of about 0.85. They have a 6-year CD that I would like to transfer our funds in there to. We have about 182,000 in that account, and I'd like to transfer those funds to for 6 months so that we can get a rate of about 1.85. At the time I talked about this with them, and they said they would need a resolution. So
So that's a 6-month CD?
I did 6 months.
Oh,
CD.
Oh, you
It
said
said
6
6
year.
year.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Do we really want to tell you what he
No,
said?
not at all.
He said
No,
months.
no. I might have said months once and years once,
Yeah.
but yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, it's 6 months.
So that's the resolution?
That would be the resolution.
I'll second it.
All right.
You making a motion, Rick?
I'll make the motion then.
Okay, seconded by Councilman McGinn. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarella, aye.
Again, I,
Okay. All right, item 6.7. So we need a motion for the supervisor to execute the Orange County operating agreement for Dial-A-Bus pending town attorney review.
Cologne to make the motion?
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarella, aye.
again, I,
Okay, so moved. All right, item 6.8, we have 3 bids there for the repaving of our parking lot. The first one came in from James Young Paving, which was $98,685.26. The next one is from Tilcon, which is $107,989.20. And the third one was from Ward Pavements at Goshen, which was at $118,160. Highway Superintendent Sherney has made the recommendation that we use James Young Paving. And just so everyone is aware, the Village of Monroe presently has a bond of $75,000 that was turned over to us. That will be turned over to us. The rights of it were turned over to us when we purchased the building from Etzkayam, and we currently would essentially be paying about $23,685.
It's a lot cheaper than I thought. Are they gonna be redoing the base and the surface?
If you read the details of it, they're remove the badly decayed areas and replace with a 2.5-inch binder course. Those are areas of potholes and low spots. They're gonna clean the parking lots of dirt, dust, and debris. Any loose material will be moved from the premises. They'll mill off high areas for proper grade and sufficient base. They will apply a hot tack coat of the new blacktop to adhere to old. They'll furnish and install a level course of type number 6 blacktop. Then they'll furnish a 2-inch finish coat of type 6 blacktop. And the material is to be installed through a self-propelled paving machine. Each phase is to be rolled with up to a 10-ton double drum vibratory roller for a tight compaction. They'll provide certificate of insurance, proper certification for prevailing wages and whatnot. So,
as far as like the catch basins and drainage and all that stuff there, I mean, listen, I know they pave up to it, but are we in good shape with that?
yeah, we had our highway last summer and fall fixed the 2 basins that were there, and they fixed about 90% of the California curbs. There's a couple of spots that came loose again, so they're gonna have to just repair those.
So I guess the only thing we'd have to do after this is really striping then.
Yeah, that's it.
I got one question.
Yep.
Since we'll be putting in the charging stations soon, that they're gonna have to do that hopefully before all this is paved.
Not necessarily.
You don't wanna, that's a lot of work to cut open again, so.
I'm not gonna cut open the page.
Exactly, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, so.
Well, we haven't even gotten a presentation on that yet.
We'll get that, but how soon are they gonna be doing this?
Probably sometime in late April, early May.
I heard him, will you hit him for me?
What'd you say?
I said tomorrow.
Weather permitting.
Go ahead.
Weather permitting.
All right, we'll have it done before then.
Trucks are in the parking lot.
Gee, thanks.
All
Guys are
right.
throwing me under the crusher here.
So, I would say the motion is to approve the hiring of James Young Paving Limited of Middletown, New York at $98,685.26.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarella, aye.
Again, I,
Okay, so moved. The next item, which is Raywood Drive. Listen, I thought originally John was going to be here until this afternoon when he explained that to me. I don't know what the feeling is of everyone, but the letter from John Sherney, which says, it's from John Sherney to Bonnie Franson, the chairwoman, and planning board members, and the subject is 81 Raywood Drive subdivision, proposed roadway cul-de-sac extension. It says, "Dear Chairwoman Franson and members of the planning board, the undersigned has had the opportunity to meet with Sean Arnott of McGooey, Hauser, and Edsel on Friday, January 10th, 2020, to discuss the subject project and proposed roadway extension. After reviewing the plans last revised December 23rd, 2019, prepared by Civil Tech Engineering and Surveying PC, the undersigned has no objection to the proposed roadway extension, which consists of removing a portion of the existing curb in the cul-de-sac section of Raywood Drive and approximately 185-foot by 30-foot wide paved extension to the cul-de-sac. The undersigned understands this extension will provide roadway access to the proposed lot number 3 of the subject subdivision. The undersigned would like to request that the applicant propose drop curb at the end of the cul-de-sac and extend proposed pavement to the right-of-way boundary to provide adequate room for snow to be piled at the end of the proposed roadway extension. Please contact the undersigned should you require any further from my office." Signed, John Sherney, Town Highway Superintendent. My only thought here was that we need to make sure that none of this cost is borne by the town.
Yeah, now, is this, I would assume that this project is before the planning board?
Yes.
And so they're just looking for us to approve, whether it's us or...
Extension, yeah, okay.
Yeah, they don't want to go through the process of looking at this if the town board's not inclined to allow
So
the
they're
road
just-
extension.
kind of seeking our approval on this, is that?
Yeah, well, the planning board attorney communicated, and it was her view, and I agree that the town board would need to approve, this extension within, even though it's a town right-of-way, for the road to be extended, the cul-de-sac. So that's what they're looking for.
Right.
I mean, it would still undergo whatever review before the planning board. We can include whatever conditions that were discussed, no cost to the town,
Right.
subject to approval of the highway superintendent,
Right.
things of that nature.
The only thought, Brian, is, I mean, it's in the proposed right-of-way, the extension. I don't want the town to have to bear any cost of repair to that going forward, because it's an extension, but, I mean, the extension is done in order for them to gain that additional lot.
Well, one way to address that, I mean, it wouldn't be for all time, but you could have a bond of some sort posted for maintenance and repair for a certain number of years, if there were any issues. But I don't know how much success you'll have, otherwise in saying, hey, it's your responsibility to maintain or repair the road, but, the developer's long gone down the road, so probably be better to have some kind of financial security for that purpose.
Well, I mean, I would assume that the road extension, once it, again, even if it's done by their contractor and there's no expense borne on the town for it, that just like any town road at that point,
It becomes
yeah,
a
it
town
becomes
road.
a town road.
But
after-
even with developments and subdivisions, there is usually a posted maintenance bond.
Right, right.
It's not usually a very long time, but it make sure that at least for the normal course, that road is, of sufficient quality that it's not going to fall apart 6 months later or within a year. So,
Right. Yeah.
we can always have that discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I would do it with the, the caveat that we, the town not bear any expense and that, upon completion of it, it gets inspected by the town engineer to make sure that it's up to, the town engineer and the highway super to make sure it's up to, their standards.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I had one other question, though. The village of Kiristol is right on the other side. I'd like to know if there's any plan of interconnecting the roads possibly at some point in the future. Does it have to be more like a cul-de-sac, or could it be straight through?
Is there a road right on the other side of that area?
I think there, you can't tell from this, but when
Yeah,
I
no.
had gone online, I think there's another road in KJ that kind of would line up with it. Would anybody from the applicant, would the applicant for this be here? They could tell us?
Anybody here from Raywood Drive?
No?
No? Well, I mean, Brian, council, could we put a caveat in there that states that any through road would have to be approved by the planning board and the town board?
Well, I think it would anyway, because you're on your side building a cul-de-sac, so there wouldn't be any connection unless you choose to extend the road across the border.
Yeah.
So right
Okay.
now, I mean, at least it's being proposed as a cul-de-sac end of a road, so it doesn't connect. But we can also ask that question if there is any intent, you know, what's the plan before the planning board?
Right.
Okay.
I mean, again, I don't, you know, you don't necessarily have to approve anything tonight. We could basically come back with these questions and, you know, concerns and see if any of those things are going to be issues for the applicant. And then bring it back on another agenda.
Yeah, as I said, I don't have any objections to the cul-de-sac, but if
No, it was
there's
a good, it was a very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at it right now, Mary, and I don't see, there's no KJ Road on the other side of it.
well, there's a lot on the other side.
It looks like, hold on a
I
second.
don't know what the topography is over there either.
Well,
You know,
So-
it could be a steep drop and it, you know, you can't make a through road, but if it's,
is there any?
you know,
It will have to, it's still a cut through to a cul-de-sac. It still has to come before the planning and the board at that point. And highway would have to take a look at it, so.
Yeah, the
At this
next,
point, the only thing we're approving is the cul-de-sac.
yeah, the next closest one is
No, we're
Chernobyl
approving
Court
this
and
extension.
then,
Right, the extension, but it goes to a
Hudson Road,
cul-de-sac. Any
so-
cut-through
Yeah.
has to still be approved by us.
Yeah.
yeah, it still had to be,
Still has to be approved by us.
yeah.
So it becomes a what-if scenario. So at this point, we're just approving what's ahead of us.
wait, can I just? Of course, looking on the phones is really hard.
Yeah.
Looking at, oh, see, I went on here. This is the county. So I'm not quite sure if this is where they're talking about.
Yeah.
So that was my
Oh,
point.
yeah,
that's-
it's different than
that's
what
a
I'm
good
looking at
point.
here.
But I don't know what the
Am I in the
topography
same place
is.
here on that satellite?
Yeah, it looks totally different.
Yeah, I'm not, are you on the
Councilman
satellite?
McGinn.
Is this the same? What is this, I mean, this says Raywood, is that where we're talking?
Yeah, I couldn't get the satellite on mine.
Yeah, so.
See if you find it on
Like this
Google
Yeah.
Map.
Yeah.
That's what he's got.
He's
That's
got
much
it.
better than the phone.
Does it give a picture of the road?
Yeah, it does.
Hmm.
It actually lines up with that road.
Yeah,
Oh, this right here.
Right here, you
Yeah.
can see it, yeah. For the record, I'm looking at Google Maps satellite image. So, no mystery. Search 81 Raywood.
Oh, boy.
Well,
Nice work, Mary.
yep. Wow.
So again, if the board wants, we can pose some questions, you know, and put this on. I don't think there's any pressing need for approval tonight.
No, we can put it on the March 16th agenda.
Yeah, yeah, if we could
Okay.
just, those questions, you know, not being, you know, not, the cost not being borne in the town, that, you know, post inspection be done by the highway superintendent and town engineer, and,
any possible
prohibition.
interconnection with
yeah,
Village of Curious Strolls.
yeah,
And a bond be posted.
and a bond be posted, yeah. Yeah, this is actually an old satellite shot. I don't have that one that you have that shows like the actual construction kind of going on, you know?
Yeah,
So-
I'm flying live with the drone right now.
Yeah, yeah, you got a much better. All right, cool.
All right, so we'll communicate and get some answers to those questions.
Thank you.
Or make sure there's no opposition to those issues.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to, I guess, table it until the March 16th meeting.
Okay.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay. Thank you. Item 6.10, Recycling Garbage Center Grant. Councilman Cologne.
Okay. Whereas the town of Monroe determines that it is in the best interest of its citizens and residents to provide sanitary, cost-effective, solid waste management services, and whereas it is further determined that the most prudent manner in which to proceed is to explore the option for solid waste management. I hereby resolved as follows. The town of Monroe shall undertake the necessary process to retain professional engineering firm which possesses an requisite and background to advise the town regarding the siting and permitting of a facility for recycling and transfer loading of recyclable materials, organic materials, and residual solid waste. Questions?
Do you want to explain anything about that?
Yes.
You just read it.
Okay, now that I've read it. This is a proposed, we have retained grant money to do a study, and this would be above where the compost area is. Town has approximately 7 acres. And the idea is to have a contained area under the latest guidelines of EPA to be engineered for solid waste recycling management for this area. This would, as this area continues to grow, we have to get ahead of the garbage and the recycling, and this would put us well in advance of that. We would have a state-of-the-art area for this. And that's what it's for. At this point, it's a study for it. They'll provide us not only diagrams or the safeguard features, and it would be enclosed. We'd have a complete rendition, and that's what the grant money is paying for.
All right,
So we have grant money for the study.
That is correct, about 100,000.
do we have a copy of that grant and how much? Because I haven't seen anything.
I can get that to you tomorrow. Actually, it's through Millennium. They have all of that. The grant, in other words, with the
So we
grant,
put in for this grant and
we
we
put
received
in for
it?
the grant and we have the money.
And the proposed location is where the composting facility is by the
Above
solar
it,
farm?
above it, we have 7 acres. In other words, we have 7 acres above, there's a road that goes up, and it's 7 acres that we have not used at all.
Is this, I know we're still kind of in a state of flux right now with the solar farm. Is this something that's going to impact it?
No.
No.
The road goes around it.
Goes completely around it.
Back
Comes into the
toward the
right,
back
goes
end.
all the way around.
And it would be tremendous savings to the town as far as, waste management.
So, I mean, so basically, we're looking at a transfer station? Is that what we're?
Well, it's not just a transfer, it's also for recycling principally.
Right.
And there'll also be, what we also project to put in there is a classroom area also to teach folks in any school that wants to come by about the importance of recycling as well.
This recycling is going to be done by the residents, or is this done?
No,
by-
that's recycling, what the proposal will be later on, once we go through further on. In other words, we would have a company, a garbage company to run it for us. We wouldn't be hiring as the town additional personnel.
I would assume it'd be revenue positive.
Yes, absolutely.
And Mike, this is, the way I understand this, and Rick, correct me, but this is money that we got for a grant, and we're just doing a study on it.
At this
And
point,
no additional monies after the grant is expended will be borne by the taxpayer.
absolutely not. In other words, at that point, 90% of, in other words, if we do go through with this, 90% would be covered by grant money, possibly 100%, because the amount of property that would be involved would be going towards the other 10%. So it would be no out-of-pocket money by the town.
So are we basically just looking to accept this grant, and then we're going to have to find an engineering firm to kind of conduct the study?
Yeah, at this point, we're going to be looking for an engineer firm to do the study.
Do we need an RFP?
No, we don't,
No.
because it's professional services. If you like, we can do an RFP, but basically what you're talking about is professional services, the engineering corporation, because there's only so many engineers that do this type of work and study.
I'm going to say that there are probably, within the grant, some parameters about the hiring of the
We'll
engineering.
put an RFP out.
No,
Shouldn't
I'm
be a
not,
big-
I'm not saying there is or there isn't a requirement, but I'm gonna
Yes.
err on the side of caution and
Yeah,
say,
I'm
yeah.
gonna guess that there's probably a parameter there. Only from the experience we've had with grants,
Right.
so.
At this point, we're not bearing any cost. The grant money has been approved for us. At this point, all we'll do is put out the RFP and see what comes up in the proposal grant study.
Yeah.
It's a study.
If there is, a limited, or if it is a narrow field and or you can obtain the names of, you don't have to necessarily do the RFP, but at least to solicit the proposals from
I'll solicit it.
those firms that, may be reputable or might be experienced.
Oh,
in the
absolutely.
area. Or you just put out the RFP and send it to them, whoever
Yeah.
you want.
What's everybody's thought?
Well, it's not costing us anything, but why not?
Councilwoman Bingham?
Yeah, it's worth looking into, because if it could save the town money in the
It's
future.
going to save us quite a bit on,
Yeah.
revenue. I mean, it'll, as far as what we're spending on waste removal and recycling at this point.
Concerned Councilman McGinn?
I just wish I had more particulars.
Yeah.
And
No,
I mean,
Well,
I wish I had the grant in front of me and knew what it was and had
Well,
more information than just a resolution with nothing
Well, the
else
thing
there.
is that that's what the study is for, is to provide us with the information so we can make a determination. It doesn't make it absolute that we will in fact do it. What it does is it gives us the information on, here's what the plan is and here's what we can do.
Right. Hey, have
How
you-
about how can we add to this resolution, Councilman Cologne, that upon review by council of the grant,
Not a problem.
that just be approved? And
Yeah, to make sure we stay within
Yeah,
the
I just
parameters
want
of
to
the
make sure the
grant.
grant is something that's not going to tie us into something or be something that's, listen, if it's green, it's good, I got it, but I'm just, don't want Monroe turning into a transfer station for the rest of the county. That's part of my,
Oh, absolutely.
or benefiting a particular hauler, that's a tough business, and I want to make sure everything is about as above board as we can possibly get, because I don't want this town.
Well, we'll make
caught up
sure
in
that it's
any,
approved by the attorney
any
for
type
that.
of malfeasance.
okay,
With the caveat of having it reviewed by the attorney?
yeah, and that the board is given the actual grant parameters.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I guess we have to review the grant to see if one's stipulated in the grant,
Yeah.
I'll get that in your
If
box
it's done as a
tomorrow.
professional services contract, that's fine, but I think, we need to see the grant, whether it specifies that it has to be done through RFP or how that's gonna be handled.
Like, for example, council, we have a grant where we're required to have a certain percentage of the respondents be women-owned businesses.
Right.
So I don't, yeah.
And without having the grant here, it's tough.
Yeah,
to-
well, I mean, that's kind of what I'm hearing is there an urgency to do something tonight, or why not
No.
just get the grant documents and then review them and
If
then
you like,
take the action?
we can table this till the next meeting.
Yeah, I would just think you want to
fine.
review, because sometimes, I mean, besides what you just mentioned, there could be a lot of requirements. You at least
Yeah.
want to know what those conditions are. And then, we could even summarize them if you get me the grant docs, give you a letter sort of saying what your obligations are, and then put that on the next agenda. And if you're good with it, whether you do RFP or, you can decide at the next meeting.
Can
But
do.
It just sounds like you don't have enough info as a board right now.
Okay.
Sounds good. All right,
Make a
so,
motion to table.
Table to the next to,
second?
Well,
Do we have a
yeah, I mean,
second?
you
till
don't,
3, when?
To
316?
316.
yeah,
3:16.
you can go 316, and again, if, I don't really need a specific motion, but if you can get me the grant docs, I can sort of summarize it for the board, so you're not having to look through them. Any obligations that are in there that would be of interest to you.
Okay,
Yeah?
sounds good. Call the
So-
question?
Who
Bingham,
made
aye.
those
Come on.
motions? I'm sorry.
I made the motion to table.
Councilwoman Bingham and seconded by Councilman Cologne.
Thank you.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. All right, item 7, old business, Article 21, special planning districts, floating zone?
Yeah, I don't know why that's
I
in
don't-
here
yeah.
either.
I didn't know if you had asked
No,
Councilman McGinn, okay.
no,
That's the floating zone. I mean,
it's
that's
So
the
what do we-
same, yeah, it's the same.
Same as what- yeah.
resolution, it's,
Yeah.
everything's the same, so.
Okay. 7.2, the Old Country Road Water Service and Reed Levy Agreement, which is what we discussed.
Yeah. So we have a couple of dupes in here.
Yeah, all right. And then 7.3 is the adopted local law number 4 of 2018, peddling and solicitation. Council, I put this on the agenda before because we've had a
Question.
lot of complaints about the peddling and solicitation on holidays, during the week, and I keep telling everyone to sign up for the no-knock law. But I was wondering if we can do a moratorium on the current law that we have until we iron this out.
when you
would-
say moratorium to
Suspend it?
You're
Suspend
suspending
it, or
it.
suspend it for a
suspend the
time.
law,
Yeah,
then you're just without
We're going to have
regulation.
everybody
what's
come.
that?
Then you have no regulation. If you put a moratorium on the law, then you have nothing to regulate soliciting or peddling at all.
Okay, that's why I have you here, that's why I
Yeah,
want to be here.
Yeah, and then even if your intent was to put a moratorium on peddling and soliciting, it would be struck down. I mean, it's unconstitutional to say we're reviewing it, so you can't do it. But you can certainly make changes to the law and, address what we want to address in the law that may be a problem, or add, further restrictions to the extent permissible. Whenever you're dealing with soliciting, you run into freedom of speech issues. But yeah, as you touched on, the number one way to prevent soliciting is to post the sign on a property. You can be as specific as you want on those signs. You can say no solicitors except, those groups that you may, a resident may find acceptable. But I mean, in fairness, that's the best way, because if somebody then disregards that, it's a clear violation of law if they go onto the property and solicit. But I know sometimes it's difficult to get everyone to do that. But I think if there are complaints, that's the number one way to address it, because that's an easy one. There's a sign, you ignore it, it's a violation. There's no issues of free speech or any constitutional issues. But anything else, is of course subject to review when you start putting restrictions in there. But if the board, wants to look at it and amend it to add restrictions or address certain concerns, we can look at those. We just have to make sure we're not putting the town in a bad spot in doing it.
Okay.
Can you restrict it to certain days?
You can, I mean, you can.
Days and times?
Yeah, but within reason. In other words, you can't say like soliciting only on Wednesdays, or anything like that. Generally, the times is usually permissible, but it gets tougher when you're doing days, because if you pick a Saturday, this group's going to complain. You pick a Sunday, this group's going to complain, because a lot of these solicitations are also religious groups that you run into. Usually the time restrictions are upheld because you don't want people, it really comes down to whether you have a valid basis for imposing the restriction or some compelling interest, if it's a First Amendment type issue in regulating that. So, anything's open for discussion at this point, because we're only talking about amending it, and then we can always come back and, if necessary, shoot down your idea or say that it can be done and enact it.
So do we leave the current law active?
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
Yeah, because if you can't really, if you were to just sort of suspend the law, then there's no regulation at all, and you really can't lawfully say there's no peddling and soliciting while we, it's not like a building moratorium. It's a little bit different because it's a, it's not like you're in a comprehensive plan situation. It runs into inevitably the First Amendment and the right, for people to conduct certain activities, and so you can't just put a moratorium and say you can't do it for 6 months. And to stop the law being in effect would just say there is no regulation, so we can kind of do whatever we want. So while you're considering it, you're better off leaving the law in place and amending it if you want to, try to put in more restrictions or
Less restrictions.
yeah,
I know,
or
I know, like again, you talk about, you're talking about your religious groups that go door to door, but I think our concern isn't so much them or people political, getting petitions signed or whatever. I think our concerns are certain businesses that kind of act in a predatory manner, trying to get people to sell or do something like that with their houses. And
Yeah, well, that's a whole different field. I mean, that is addressed in your law, but that's prohibited anyway. In other words, not the solicitation itself, but, real estate agents and others are prohibited from going door to door and saying, hey, the neighborhood's changing, you better get out. Things of that nature are already improper or illegal. So if there are complaints of that nature, they can be dealt with. But
I think what we're looking to do is really address that in a more aggressive manner.
right.
That's what it comes down to, because it's happening quite a bit, and we'd like to.
And specifically what you just said is happening.
Right.
And, I'm getting calls on it, and it's,
Yeah, look, I mean,
it's an annoyance to the public.
those are valid complaints if they're happening, and of course, you have people either report it is the main thing to get the information, or see if they can identify the person, and sometimes you do that by acting like you're interested for the moment, get the card or get the contact information, and then we can take that and roll with it. Some people have used recordings or audio recordings of what's being said, so that if it's improper and it crosses the line, you have a valid complaint there, which is enforceable. And you do have that in your code already, but that's also violation of state law. So, that comes down to what's being said, and that requires either somebody to give us the details, or, like I say, record it, get the information, and
Or
then
an affidavit from the homeowner or something like that,
Yeah.
that would say,
And you might find that it's one or two or three entities doing it. So if you start to get the same, people, the same companies that are doing it, then at least we know who to focus on, and then we can complain to the Attorney General or whoever else.
yeah.
Right.
Well, I think that's the way we need to go.
Absolutely.
Because it's, we're getting a lot of complaints about it, and we really need to go at this in a very,
Aggressive. Gotta be
manner.
aggressive.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll have to
We're gonna have to hone in on
the
yeah.
specifics and change some of the parameters. within
Yeah, and I would say let's start gathering the information. If you're getting
Okay.
complaints on this, let's find out who it is,
Yep.
where it's happening, what's being said, and we can go from there.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
You
you.
got it.
All right, before we get to public comment, one other resolution we need. And Val, what is the last public hearing we had on the agenda for the 16th? What was the time?
Bear with me.
7:15.
7:15?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion, and this is for our current application for the CDBG grant from the county. We need to hold a public hearing on March 16th at 7:20 PM for the Town of Monroe Senior Center ADA improvements. So I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilwoman Bingham. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarella, aye.
McKenna, aye.
Okay, so moved. Thank you. Okay, public comment.
John Deschner?
Johnny, you've been sitting too long.
Okay, Johnny Debris, Monroe, New York. And I'll make it quick. I just, first of all, keep up the good work, and like I've said before, you're going to earn your money in the next couple of years. I just want to know what the situation is on the village requirement for 500 people that I think Scofus was doing something with it.
He's got a bill presently he's rewriting, which upped that number to 2,500.
2,500, okay.
That's really all the details I
That's
have.
a state thing. It's
Yeah.
not within the purview of the town at this point.
Yeah,
Yep.
but you would think thered be something in there about the shape of a town. This is like a ribbon. It goes from like Target Does it include those townhouses?
You know, it's
Yeah, and
this
that's
is a matter
something we
of pending
can't- yeah.
litigation, so you really can't discuss it.
Oh, okay.
We
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
discuss it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
all
can't
right.
discuss it, yeah.
Okay, but I really feel there should be a, some sort of a shape, not just a ribbon. And, the other thing is, I found out that, Mayor, Dwyer is stealing my garbage on,
With-
and he caught him in the act. He caught him in the act. He was,
What type of garbage is he taking?
All sorts of
he's
garbage.
cleaning up the,
The side of the road.
Oh,
yeah, Stage Road
Oh.
and,
Okay.
I thought he meant
which
he's
I
going
usually
through your
do.
garbage.
Different
Well,
story.
I tell you,
Wow.
about a week, about a week or two ago, Stage Road was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then I went down there and it was all cleaned up. My wife told me, maybe the wind blew it away. But
I know the
anyway,
mayor
that's
is
it.
very, very diligent. He's a stickler for cleanliness
Yeah,
on the
but I'll tell you
roadsides and in the village, you know?
Was he,
Which is a
was
great
he,
thing.
was he wearing protective gloves when he was doing it?
Yeah, right. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Jacob Bickle,
Left.
Here,
He left.
He left.
he left.
Moshe Schwartz,
Hi, my name is Moshe Schwartz. I'm with the broker of Exit Real Estate Company in Monroe. Just wanted to say, you spoke about the solicitation issue that you have. We are a national company and I manage the office here in Monroe. And we train our agents how to go door knocking, and we actually don't even solicit. And now what we train our agents is just to look for people that have to move in the next 12 months. And when they find them, they work for them, they make them the best informed sellers in the area. But we never try to convince anybody to move or to sell their property, only for people that have to move in the next 12 months. Then we work for them, we make them the best informed sellers in the area. This is a very good service for those people looking to move. We went a lot in Chester, we have permits, and we went, and we never had any issues over there. And we could see that the streets that we go, nobody goes on the do not knock list because they don't feel that we're trying to push them out of doing anything. Second of all, there is a misunderstanding that I know that a lot of people are looking at us as if we want to change demographics, but if anybody wants to come look at the records of the sales that we made, we never discriminate and we always sell for anybody and everybody. It's just, as a regular real estate company, we're looking for work and we're looking to make business. It's not a difference to whom we sell for everyone, we don't discriminate. So I applied that, I know one of my agents did apply for a permit to go door knocking, and I would ask that you should be given it, since we don't ask anybody to move. We're just looking for the people that have to move anyways, and then we work for them. We make them the best informed sellers in the area. And I really thank you for taking care of this issue, because I know there was problems with different people, but since our company, we're only looking for the people that have to move. I would ask you should be given that permit. Thank you.
How do you, go ahead.
I just, I receive in the mail all the time, mailers from Better Homes and Gardens and, all the other real estate companies. And I think that's a way for people, listen, if they're interested in selling or whatever, that's a way to reach out to them. You know what I mean? We feel that door to door, regardless of who it is not a, it's not good for the community. And it's not a matter of, we want to see houses in the neighborhood be sold to people that want to move in and be part of the community. We know there's a big housing stock of people moving up from the city that want to move here. And we don't want to see a bunch of rental homes in the neighborhoods when it could
Yeah,
be
that's exactly
to
what
young couples that are moving here that want to be part of the community, that want to, better life for their children and all that. And so, I mean, listen, I'm not saying your company is a concern, but we're getting a lot of complaints, and it's something that we as elected officials have to act on.
Right, that's what I'm trying to say, that we don't sell to any specific group. We are a legal company and we're a licensed company.
How do you
in the
normally-
state.
How do you approach someone's house and knock on their door? Like, what's your policy for doing that?
We just ask them if they are planning to move. If they're planning to move, then we work for them. We make them the best informed sellers in the area.
So you just walk up to anyone's house and
Ask them, yeah, that's how we do it all in the whole, and it's a national company. We get trained by national trainers that we do it in all in the United States and in Canada, not only in the town of Monroe.
No, we know that's a national company.
It takes 30 seconds a door. We ask them if they plan on moving in the next 12 months. If they don't plan, then we walk away. If they are planning to move in the next 12 months, then we work for them. We make them the best informed sellers in the area, and we see that people that are planning to move, they're excited to meet us because they want that help. It is a good service. If you want to move in the next 12 months, wouldn't it be a benefit for you to be the best informed seller in the area?
I think it's in everybody's interest to be
The best.
to know what your options are.
100%.
Right? But
that's what we're offering for
right.
people that have to move, and they want that. And if somebody if they don't have to move, we just walk further. We go to the next house and the next house.
Yeah.
It takes 30 seconds a house, and we're off. They don't even remember that we were there.
Well, I've never seen any other real estate company do it. Most of them come through the mail, and that's something that we need to discuss as a board, whether that's the way to do it, because obviously people are concerned to some degree, and I'm not saying it's
What
your
do you
company.
feel? What are their concerns?
I'll tell you what their concerns are. I've gotten 4 complaints. 3 of them were from customers or homeowners that have complained about Exit Realty.
Okay.
And their aggressive way coming up, we can get you hundreds of $1,000s more than
I actually have
the market.
recordings of our agents, how they do
Excuse
this.
me?
I actually have recordings of our agents, how they do that.
Oh, some of
We
these
never-
some of these people have
Yeah,
recordings
we have
too, because
recordings
they have Ring doorbells.
Sure. So I would love to see that, because as a broker, I have to discipline my agents. So if you have
Oh.
any recordings, I would really love to see that.
I am not going to share them with you. That would be the homeowner's discretion, so
Okay.
I will not do that because it was sent to me in confidence.
Could you ask that from them? Because I would really love to discipline these agents if they do it this way, because it shouldn't be like this.
At this point, we're going to review our solicitation laws, our
Right.
options, and
I appreciate that.
if we will take action as we feel
Let me ask you a
necessary.
question. How many
Yes.
agents do you have out there going door to door?
I would say around 10.
You have 10. And how many permits do you have?
We have all over agents. We have in Chester, we have a lot of permits, and most of our
How many
agents.
permits do you have in Monroe?
Now we have 1.
And you have 10 agents going
Not in
around
Monroe.
Monroe?
Not in Monroe. In Chester, we have a lot in Chester. We have in Blooming Grove.
Okay.
Any questions that you have for me further?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay.
I just want to protect our residents, and I think this
I
board wants to
appreciate that.
protect our residents, and we want to make sure that they're not hassled through solicitation.
Right.
Because
On
people
holidays.
do like their
Correct.
privacy, especially on holidays and the weekends. They
it's one
like
of the
their
biggest
privacy.
complaints we hear.
We never go on holidays, and we never go weekends.
I beg to differ, sir.
yeah.
Yeah,
so do
I
I.
beg to differ, especially on Father's Day last
Yeah,
year.
beg to differ.
And if you have any complaints, I ask, please let me know, because as I'm the broker, I would really like to.
Could you leave us your card, please?
Sure, I will.
Thank you.
Isn't it highly irregular to send people door to door for solicitation of a sale of a home?
We don't solicit.
Well,
we don't even solicit
real
it.
estate agents, usually they'll send out what they call a letter blast or even an email blast to people. If you want to consider selling your home, please consider us.
What
You know,
are the
it's highly
communities do
irregular.
you solicit in right now?
We mostly solicit in Chester because it's the easiest to get a permit. And as I say, actually, we don't solicit it because we don't offer anything to anybody, and we don't ask for money. We just ask them if they plan to move. If they plan to move, we offer them to make them the best informed seller in the area, and we don't charge for that. And if they want to hire us after making them the best informed seller in the area, they have a choice to hire us. But we never solicited. We don't try to convince anybody to move.
You
know we can't do it. Could I
you
convince
can't
you
say
to
you're
move?
never soliciting if you're going up trying to solicit your business. You're
I mean,
trying to.
if you're going door to
No,
door,
I don't solicit my
30
business. I
seconds.
just
No,
That's
qualify them.
exactly what it is.
You know,
No,
I
I
mean-
qualify people if they're moving the next 12 months. I offer them to make them the best informed. This
Right,
is not my
and-
business.
And
That's not my business.
by you offering them to
It's
make
a service
them
to the community. It's not my business.
by you offering them to make them the best informed seller, and you getting the listing, you're.
Getting the listings only after they're the best informed seller. They could choose.
I understand
But I
that.
don't ask for that.
But listen to me.
Yes.
You're playing a game with words here, okay? You're soliciting your business, because if you weren't soliciting your business, you wouldn't be going door to door.
I
That's a
hope
fact.
that people will at the end hire me because
well-
because doing them a service.
So if you're hoping that people will hire you, then you're soliciting. You're giving them information on your business. You're asking them questions.
Well, I'm
There's
giving
no
them-
two ways around it. Don't try to play semantics with us here.
Now,
You're
let me
soliciting.
try to explain.
You have a soliciting permit, right?
I do the soliciting permit
Okay,
just out of
so
courtesy.
then you're soliciting.
End of story. That's what you're
Yeah,
doing.
but it's a difference that you're trying to
not-
offer
No, it's
someone.
not- it's not
trying to offer
different.
someone.
It's not different.
not
Well,
different.
listen, I think at this point, we're just gonna, we're gonna review our solicitation law, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, thank you for
Councilman.
giving me
If you
the
just leave
opportunity
the
to
card,
speak.
that'd be-
give us
Yeah,
your
please
card.
leave your card here. Thank
That'd
you.
be great. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Ward Brower.
Ward, how are you? Good to see you, Ward.
We were worried when you weren't here.
Ward
Yeah.
Brower,
We're
private
going to your house
citizen.
and knock on the door.
Now, this is going to be a solicitation. And I don't have a permit. And what I'm asking, this has been requested many times in the past, in fact, it goes back a long time. That is that this town board send a letter to probably our county legislature and to our state, both Assembly and Senate. And that is the Hudson Valley Community Preservation Act. It's been around since 2007. It's curious because it gets to Albany and somehow it dies. Westchester gets it, Putnam County gets it, but we don't get it. Why? I can't imagine. But it went through the whole process last year, I understand, and now it's again, in the final stage is going again. So if you guys could send a note to our representative, both state
Assembly and
the
Senate?
And I believe they probably going to have to get our county representative in the act. I think that's where it works up the chain of command.
And just clarify again, you want us to make sure that we're, oh, right, perfect.
There we go.
Between the
Yep, okay.
And again, as I understand it, it's an opt-out thing. You don't, it's not mandatory. You just set it up. You don't have to, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. But at least gives the counties or the municipalities within Orange County an opportunity to use this mechanism.
Yes.
They want to, so it's sort of like, as it says in that,
Hang on, don't start yet.
Nothing?
Yeah, my throat was scratchy, too.
Ready?
Make a motion.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to return to our regularly scheduled meeting,
Cologne, a second.
seconded by Councilman Cologne. After executive session, there were no decisions that needed to be made, so if there's no further business, I would like to make a motion to adjourn,
I'd like to support that.
seconded by Councilman Cologne. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
So moved. Have a good evening.